Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am getting into the subject of Israelites and Africans, or Israel and Africa. I'm getting into this subject because two friends invited me to a symposium, and I think that what I've seen so far deserves this talk that I'm about to give now. When we say Israel and Africa and Israelites and Africans, who do we really mean? If we say the contemporary state of Israel in the Middle East and modern African states, that's a whole different conversation from when we say Israelites and Africans. When we say Israelites and Africans, who do we really mean? I'm making a case, I'm proposing that we should expressly confer with the Igbo people. If we say Israelites and Africans, I think we should confer with the Igbo people if we really want to discover, if we really want to make sense out of the darkness of the past. But if we keep on treating the Israelites as a mythical group, we will only keep on dancing around the subject of the Israelites in Africa. I'm not saying that the Igbo people were the only people who were Israelites that entered Africa, but they are the living representatives of the Israelites who entered Africa. I know as a historian that there were Israelites who ended up in the Songhai Empire, but we don't know who they are today. They have assimilated. But talk about the Igbo people, the language of the Hebrews 4,000 years ago, you will still find it extant in the Igbo language of today. The longest serving Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Yahoo in his name is something you will only find extant in the Igbo language. Ahu. Of course, as I said in one of my recent presentations, out of every 20 Igbo and Hebrew words, there are profound connections. And in the Igbo culture, you would find those traditions you find, or those traditions we found in the culture of the Israelites 5,000 years ago. When Naboth refused selling his land to King Ahab, the exact reason he gave was the exact reason I would give in respect to my Anaobi. And I know that in West Africa, in Nigeria, and in Africa for that matter, you would find only the Igbos talking about an ancestral land that they can't sell. You would find only the Igbos telling you that every land belongs to everybody, just like the land of Israel 5,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago belonged to everybody, it didn't belong to the kings. So we can know the Israelites by knowing the Igbos. But if we want to talk about Israel in the 20th century, we can talk about the state founded by the followers of Theodore Herzl and the African countries that became independent from the 50s to the 60s. But if you are talking about Israelites and Africans, for God's sake, let us talk about the Igbos. And the Igbos are a group that Africans as a whole have deliberated on. If you want to know how, go to the history of the events that happened between 1966 and 1970. The OAU looked at that matter even though it didn't have the force to do what it should have done. I'm saying all this because we have to get up, rise up and begin to strengthen our history. We cannot keep on not putting our history in the right perspective. Our children will get up confused. The Israelites are just one ethnic group out of the hundreds of thousands that entered Africa. Not more important, not less important than any of the other ethnic groups. The Hausa Fulani are related to the Arabs. The Yorubas are related to the ancient Egyptians and Canaanites. These are distinct peoples. To the north of the Igbos are the Doma. Some of them have begun to take my word seriously that they should look towards the Idumeans for the ancestry. But what we find is that colonial era scholars called everything they could not understand in Africa, and the rest of the world for that matter, Israelites. The Israelites are just one ethnic group. In Nigeria, we have Arabs who have been in Nigeria for close to 2,000 years, still speaking the Arab language. We have Berbers in Nigeria that are called the Beriberi. Colonial era writers called all of them Israelites. Everybody that left the Levant was not an Israelite. And for God's sake, a lot of people lived and left the Levant. The Romans were there. I'm sure that some of them trickled into Africa. And by the way, the Levant was not the place humanity started, but it's the place that organized societies first took off. Organized societies with recognizable cultures. The ladies and gentlemen that prompted me to make this presentation are reasonable people. I'm sure they will make amends, and so that we would straighten history, so that history will guide us into the future. As you have seen, Africa is a very important part of the world. I think it holds a lot of things. If Africans understand their unique strength in the world, I think they can help put right a lot of things that are going wrong. And on this, we rely a lot on our historians, scholars, other scholars of the humanities. If we get things right, we would help to put the world right. Thank you and have a beautiful week. Thank you.